The Florida Panthers look like a team that was well rested and had a lot of momentum carried over from previous games, while the Nashville Predators look like a team that's still figuring themselves out.
You're Locked On Panthers, your daily podcast on the Florida Panthers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome into this Friday, November 8th edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Thank you for making the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast your first listen of the day. I'm Armando Velez from the Hockey News. You can follow me on X at Monoman12. Follow the show account on X and Instagram at LO_FLA Panthers. And shout out to the everydayers who come back here and get your daily Florida Panthers fix. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. And you could do that all on Game Time. So, Florida Panther fans, grateful to be back here on the show once again, and this time discussing a win on home ice for the Florida Panthers. And 2 games in 9 days for the Florida Panthers, not a problem with changing time zones, going over to Finland, and then back at Amerant Bank Arena, even previously with them going to New York State and sweeping there. But man, what a run that the Florida Panthers are on currently, as they came back home and won 6-2 over the Nashville Predators, where the Preds were on the second end of a back-to-back. The Florida Panthers came here well rested here for Thursday night's game, and here to break down this 6-2 win for the Florida Panthers over the Nashville Predators. It is a Friday, which means it's Fairbanks Friday here on the podcast. Nich Fairbanks is back. Nick, that was fun. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's almost as if, you expected to have the opposite of what happened tonight. You had a Predators team coming in reeling, not having their best performances to start the season, kind of like last season. And then usually the Panthers' MO is after usually a long trip and coming back home from that long trip, not really playing that well. Well, tonight was the exact opposite, and they looked great in this win.
Yeah, the Panthers coming into this, I mean, they came with their bathrobes once again after doing that in Finland. Mackie Samoskevich said to Katie Engelson prior to the game that it was Barkov's idea to do it this time around for that. And the Predators missing 2 middle 6 guys, so a lot of lineup shuffles for them. But really, the Florida Panthers, with how they were able to just gain the zone and create their chances, and then Barkov create with a chance in the first minute before it was broken up, even though he didn't get a shot on goal. But for the Panthers there to just get their opportunities and get on the score sheet within the first 5 minutes of the game, I mean, the Panthers really had a major stranglehold on the Nashville Predators for them in this one. I mean, 2 for 8 on the power play, which could have been easily 3 had they scored 1 second before one of them ended. Carter Verhaeghe, after we spoke about how unlucky he's been throughout the season so far with the 2 goals that he got during the New York portion of the trip, gets 2 tonight and doubles that. 2 goals, 1 goal that was very similar to the playoff series against the Predators. Crazy to think that even Stamkos was in the building for both of those goals. And then Barkov 3 assists. Uvis Belinskis, his first multi-point game. Tomas Nosek gets his first one as a Panther, his first one. I mean, and really, Paul Maurice even spoke about it throughout the second intermission about how the Panthers have been 15 feet away from each other, especially with puck support, being able to get out on up to speed on their breakouts, and really for them just creating their chances on their turnovers, which Erod mentioned during one of the intermissions as he got another goal, 3 in a row for him. But really, the Panthers speed was the name of the game, as they really, as the Predators, it really cost them in a lot of their penalties just because they were a little bit of a step behind.
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely tell one team was still riding high off of, this being their their 6th game in a row. And the other team still trying to figure themselves out and really figure out, what their identity is going to be. But isn't this fun to watch this Panthers team play in units, and it doesn't matter who's on the ice? I mean, you know, the Detroit Red Wings had the Russian Five. Well, I think Florida has the Florida Five possibly, and that goes for everybody on the team right now. So they're playing at an elite level, and something that I didn't think I was going to see, but they know what their identity is. They know what they're going to do game in and game out, and they're continuing to show it. So it's going to be very hard for any team to beat them night in, night out.
Yeah, and the Panthers just continue, and the fact that they're once again healthy going into being now 14 games through the regular season. Now, it's crazy to think 10-3-1. I mean, we were thinking for this Panthers team of Stanley Cup hangover, but no signs of that as of this point in time for them. And I mean, just their ability to just create off the rush, and also just the high percentage chances. I mean, in Sam Reinhart's first goal, Aleksander Barkov truly exposed Steven Stamkos after drawing to him and then just quickly getting that puck out. And then Sam Reinhart, even the broadcast, funny enough, mentioned his best Mackie Samoskevich impersonation with the wraparound there on Scott Wedgwood. But then really what it came down to was really the Predators and how low their forwards are in both, not only in their offensive zone, but their defensive zone, and just their ability when the Panthers got the puck high on their breakouts and got the puck high, even when they were getting on their forecheck, their ability to recover and for the Panthers to get a lot of their clear shooting lanes. I mean, that was very noticeable on the night as well.
Yeah, I mean, listen, sports are copycat. You'll understand, like, when a championship team does something, specific to win, then you have other teams that are trying to, redo exactly what they just did. So with Samoskevich scoring his first goal on a wraparound, why wouldn't Rhino try that as well? But I think Florida just shows right now that they are doing things the right way. They're playing defense correctly. They're playing as units, as I said before, but they're doing it, defensively first. Bob, played well tonight. I think both goals that he did let up, unfortunately, he wasn't stopping either of them. You had the one from Stamkos that, that's his favorite spot. And then the tip that was a magnificent tip right out in front. So nothing more you could ask from this team right now. I mean, like I said, they're doing the little things and they're doing everything correctly.
Yeah, and that's what you expect whenever a lot of continuity is on the roster, and then other guys just want to be a big part of that once again for this, as it even happened for them years prior to them ultimately winning the cup. But we're going to transition over to segment number 2, where we're going to discuss more of our 3 stars of the game and the moment where we thought the game was won. We're going to discuss that and more next here on the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Hims. And guys, sometimes intimate moments happen spontaneously, and we always want to be ready so we can perform in the bedroom. Hims provides access to treatment that can help you stay hard and last longer, giving you the boost of confidence so you need so you can be ready whenever the mood strikes. Your sex life is important, but your schedule is also busy. You don't have time to go to the doctor's office or to get treated for ED. Through Hims, you can get personalized ED treatment without stepping outside of your door. And Hims is changing the men's healthcare by providing you with access to affordable sexual health treatments from the comfort of your couch. No insurance is needed, and one low price covers everything from treatment to ongoing care. So start your free online visit today at hims.com/lockedon. That's hims.com/lockedon for your personalized treatment options. That's hims.com/lockedon. podcast.com/lockedon. The product mentioned are chewable compounded products which are not approved by or verified for safety or effectiveness by the FDA. Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for detail and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan. Also, this episode is brought to you by Game Time. And Game Time has the Game Time picks. The curation makes it easier to save more on sports, concert, comedy, theater, and more. You get the all-in pricing. Toggling this feature shows the total upfront with no surprise fees at checkout. Get the panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. The lowest price guarantee or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. The Game Time ticket coverage. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDON NHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Segment number 2 here on this Friday, November 8th edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. Thank you once again for making the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast your first listen of the day here on a Friday where the Florida Panthers won 6-2 against the Nashville Predators in their first game of their 5-game homestand. And let's go right into the 3 stars of the game. But I do want to give one honorable mention. I have another honorable mention, Nick, but I do want to talk about more of him. I want to give more. I want to focus more of the conversation on him in segment number 3, but I'm going to give my first one. Nico Mikkola is an honorable mention for me with how steady he was in his zone, quick to flip the puck out, and also to nail the stretch to the neutral zone for the forwards to just tap it in, go either whether they could get a change or get in on their forecheck. And then sometimes when the Panthers have gotten that puck from low to high, he's had quite a few clear lanes to the net. And also, he's halfway through the assist mark that he's had all of last year. He has 7 assists quietly. He had 14 all of last year. So that's an honorable mention. Evan Rodrigues is my 3rd star of the game. He got a goal with a lot of time around the net. Great for Bennett to chip it to him. And a lot of time. We talk about the Preds and their defensive coverage, how it wasn't really the best there. And the Panthers really took advantage of it there. And even Jovo said this word during the intermission of dangleitis for Evan Rodrigues. And he was about how he was able to draw multiple penalties in just a few minutes for the Panthers to get 5-on-3 for a split second. And also the one goal that he did score for him 1 second after the power play ended. So instead of 3 for 8, the Panthers were 2 for 8. So, hey, the Panthers were able to get through that tough power play for the Nashville Predators. Number 2 star for me was Aleksander Barkov, 3 assists. Like I said earlier, exposed Stamkos on that first goal by Sam Reinhart on the wraparound, but the assist to Verhaeghe was that kind of similar to that goal in Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final, where Tkachuk got it up the ice quickly and then able to just go for a 2-on-1 backhand. But also I believe it was Nyqvist who abandoned Verhaeghe in the middle and was not fast enough to get back to him there. And then number 1 star, Carter Verhaeghe, where on that power play where Evan Rodrigues drew the 2 penalties, he was hooked and easily could have been back on the 5-on-3 for them and able to get in to just blow it open for him there. And even on the some of the breakouts for the Panthers there, even on the Tkachuk goal, where Verhaeghe got the primary assist, the quick taps out on the breakout to back to the middle in their D zone, when the Predators are out of position and one guy's up, they're circling back, circling up. And so when you get the quick touches, that creates all sorts of confusion especially when the team is in transition. So the awareness there for those guys, A+ on the night. So your 3 stars, my friend, and honorable mentions.
So number 3, I'm actually going to give to Aleksander Barkov. He's been nothing but spectacular since getting back from the injury. And thankfully he is back, even though the team was able to still play pretty well without him, but they don't want to be without their captain and their best player. And he played very well tonight, winning draws and just being the glue to everything this team needs. Second star, I'm actually going to give to Matthew Tkachuk. He was more aggressive this game than I've seen him in the past. It reminded me of his first year here where he was driving the net. He was shooting the puck a lot more off of different angles and everything. And you can tell he's probably feeling better, and he probably is more healed than he was last year, especially coming off of the sternum injury. But if we can get a Matthew Tkachuk like he was in his first year, it's going to be sweet continuing down here. And then obviously our first star, Evan Rodrigues for me. I've been kind of harsh on him. He did not have the best start to the season, but ever since they put those robes on and he went to Finland and everything, he's been on fire. And Dengalitis, he can do it all right now. So he's back checking, he's playing defense, and he's almost feels like every time he's on the ice, he has multiple scoring chances. So just very happy for him to see him really take advantage of being on that top line and also being on the power play and making a difference.
Yeah, and that's where Evan Rodrigues, sometimes the points don't always tell the whole story. I mean, there was just one beautiful strip of Jonathan Marchessault that he had as he was driving up the left wing in the Panthers zone, and then just easily able to just drive it up the ice for him. So he was also very active with his stick and just creating the turnover. So Erod, just an amazing stretch for him. And we're gonna see those 4-point games here and there. We've seen it from time to time. We definitely saw that a lot last year. But even Matthew Tkachuk, I mean, 4 shots on goal in this one. I mean, we spoke about, you mentioned about just getting back to possibly what the pace that he was at in his first season. I mean, Carter Verhaeghe is shooting the puck so much. I mean, I even mentioned it a few episodes ago, just about how he's consistently getting shots to the net, and possibly a career high in total, which he almost got a hat trick tonight if it on that 2-on-0 with Sam Bennett. And then even the broadcast was talking about everybody surrounding the bench on the iPad just to see what possibly went wrong. Possibly one handle too many, and Wedgwood did not have the 5-hole closed, so maybe he could have gotten that 5-hole there. So but hey, I'm not the one skating on the ice there for them. But the moment where we thought the game was won, Realistically, the moment I thought the game was won was maybe the first shift when Barkov and Sam Reinhart were just easily getting the zone, and then knowing what the lineup was with the Predators and knowing that it was a backup goaltender. But honestly, that would be lazy of me to just name that one. But honestly, the third goal for the Panthers and just how they've broken it open, because we've seen a few times this season where it's two goals against in maybe like a few minute stretch. We saw that against the Dallas Stars just last week of 2-0, and then it's tied at 2. We've seen it against the Bruins where the Panthers break the game open and then maybe stop skating a little bit and 2 goals against. But then when you saw that 3, it's like, okay, let's just hopefully no one gets hurt, nothing bad happens here from here on out, and the fact that the Panthers the power play was still crisp even after that 3-0 lead for the Panthers. That one was just like, okay, it's in the bag. How about you?
Honestly, it's when Thomas Nosek scored. No, I'm just playing. No, I'm very happy for Thomas Nosek. He's actually somebody I've wanted on this team for the last 2 seasons. Just glad he's a cat, and he's going to be a real treat to watch this season. No, honestly, I think when Florida made it 4-0 with the Verhaeghe power play goal, I think at that point of the game, a 3-0 lead or 2-0 lead are very dangerous in today's terms. And the fact that Florida was just pouring it on and the Predators didn't really have an answer for it, I think that goal basically broke their back. So, Verhaeghe's coming into his own and, scoring, on the power play, which, early in his Panthers tenure, he was not on the power play, which is, pretty interesting because he's a pretty good shot, and you would think that they would try to create a room for him, but now I think they have a good spot for him.
Yeah, one of his that would have been his third hat trick as a Panther, fourth overall. Had he been able to convert there on that 2-on-0. I remember the first one was against the Dallas Stars, where he had a shorthanded goal, a power play goal, and an even strength goal. And then there was another one against Columbus where he was where it was a 7-0 win on April 1st of 2023. So that was the other Carter Verhaeghe hat trick that he had there. And Tomáš Nosek, this is his 10th season in the NHL. That was his first power play goal of his career. First as a Panther, first power play goal. And also, very classy move by Paul Maurice. I'm gonna give him a lot of props for not pouring it on and not bringing the top end talent guys in and just knowing that. But also the way that goal was scored, where Schmidt passed it to him, 2 bounces off the skate and in. When it's your night, it's your night there for them. So congratulations to Tomáš Nosek on his first as a Florida Panther. But we're going to transition over to segment number 3, where we're going to discuss more about the Paul Maurice now becoming second all-time in Florida Panthers history in coaching wins, and also a discussion about Uvis Balinskis on Power Play 1. We're going to continue the conversation and more next here on the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. And get ready for the NFL action with America's #1 sportsbook, FanDuel. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL, all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. So just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's all on FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Third and final segment here on this Friday, November 8th edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. Thank you once again for making the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast your first listen of the day here on a Friday, a Fairbanks Friday edition of the show. The Florida Panthers win 6-2 against the Nashville Predators. And Paul Maurice now 104 wins in his tenure as the coach of the Florida Panthers. Now 7 away from passing Jacques Martin in the most regular season wins in Florida Panthers history. Also goes to show the lack of history sometimes with winning previously. But hey, we are witnessing the greatest part of this history for this franchise. So all is good right now for all of us here. But Nick, no shots allowed for Filip Forsberg, Jonathan Marchessault, and Gustav Nyqvist. Those are top 6 guys that you're expecting to deliver there. Through the whole game, 5-on-5, the Panthers allowed 8 shots on goal total. Less than 40 minutes of 5-on-5 play overall. I mean, there was a lot of chippiness. I don't know if you caught the hot mic on the broadcast with the referee when Luosterainen went to the box. The referee was caught on a hot mic saying, "I just want to make sure everyone's okay." So a little bit of a game management call, as we saw towards the end of that one. But also Maurice was also honest about taking advantage of a team that was on the second of a back-to-back there. So also just once again, another accomplishment for Paul Maurice here as he's climbing up the ladder in the history books here.
As you said, the history of the Florida Panthers over their first 28 years was probably not the kindest, and wasn't the kindest of the coaches who tried to do their best and really pull this organization to the glory that Paul Maurice eventually was able to. But can't think of a better coach right now. The one obviously delivering back-to-back Stanley Cup runs. And the fact that, he's going to do it exactly probably in his third season. He's everything to this team right now. So I am shocked that it was Jacques Martin that had the most wins. But I go back and I look at the rosters that he had, and I can kind of see why. He had really good goaltending. He had some forwards that were just coming into their own and everything. So I can see why Jack was around for a little bit, why he was able to get to 110. But yeah, I mean, Paul deserves this, and he deserves to have that record within the next, hopefully, month.
Yeah, and for them, hopefully we see it probably in I mean, this stretch for the Florida Panthers. I mean, a lot of home games for them to get it done. I mean, lots of Central Division teams, like I mentioned even yesterday on the show for them. So the Panthers didn't really fare the best against the Central Division last year, but hey, it's a different season for them this year for them. Uvis Balinskis, let's talk about him. First multi-point game, and that was the kind of honorable mention that I meant that I wanted to continue the conversation. Power play 1. I mean, going into this one, we were thinking, is it going to be Adam Boqvist? Is it going to be Nate Schmidt? Uvis Balinskis, I mean, we didn't know much of him until the World Championships, and then the when he played for Latvia, and he's gonna, and the fact that the Panthers found him, the fact that even with an AHL stint for him last year, being on his ELC with the logjam of defense, the fact that he's able to still create a lot of those shooting lanes while on the power play, being up top, able to just how he's able to skate off puck to allow the other guys to get to work, and just getting the proper lanes to the net for, I mean, again, that power play goal by Carter Verhaeghe where got it up top and then get near the blue paint for Verhaeghe to finish. I mean, it's not to say that that it's complete for the Panthers on the power play, but Uvis Balinskis hasn't done anything to lose his job. And for the Panthers, in everything that they had to figure out this season and all the questions, it feels, for this team, it feels great to exhale knowing that it's on the cheap. It's a player that's a late bloomer in his career, and that the Panthers are, again, that continuity from 1 year to the next, that he's able to grow in the role with just being a third pair guy last year.
So I have a few things I'll say about him. Last year, he was part of that decor that started the season that kept the Florida Panthers afloat. They were just trying to tread water, but they ended up, getting Ekblad and Montour back, and they're winning. He was a big part of that. He was a stable defenseman. Now, did they ask much of him? No. They wanted him too. Exactly. So they asked him just to be a non-noticeable defenseman, just play your position and you'll be fine. Tore it up in the AHL when he went down to Charlotte. Like, he was probably their best defenseman, stat-wise, you could see. And when you have somebody that will go down and actually put up numbers and be productive and be a team player, he's going to be back up soon. So I think he really proved his worth down there. And then coming into the season, we thought that Adam Boqvist was going to be the number 1 power play guy. And, I think some injuries and maybe some different deployments kind of, made the coaches change their mind. I personally trust Balinskis as the number 1 power play quarterback right now. I trust him with the puck more, and I trust his skating more. But not to say that Boqvist later in the year won't be able to be back on a power play and be able to provide a shot that is actually really good and really accurate. So another Bill Zito fine. It's the gift that keeps on giving, and you can't be not happy for a guy like this. And one last thing about him, very classy of the Panthers to get his parents over to Finland to actually watch him play his first, to have them watch him play in the NHL for the first time. Just a special time all around for not only the players but their families overseas.
Yeah, and what a time for Uvis to get that, and even for the non-finished players who were able to get their families like there. I haven't really seen too much of if Forsling's family was there, and other guys that were not finished, but Uvis Belinskis' family definitely there. Also, random. I hope Anton Lundell's head is okay after tonight. A few times where he got hit in the back of the head, one off a wild stick swing after gaining the zone, and then another one, I believe it was Luke Shen, who got him after a face-off. So I hope that Anton Lundell is okay after taking quite a few of those. Got anything to say about
that? Let me put my flag back up here. He's a point per game player right now, and he stepped up big while Barkov was out. Yeah, he's going to be fine.
Yeah,
he's looking amazing right now.
Those hits to the head hurt me looking at them. for also another stat: 5 of the 6 goals came from wingers for the Panthers. So
all top 6.
All top, well, except for Nosek on the power play, but
yes,
yeah,
correct.
But that one, but the fact that the Panthers and the top guys, they're performing to the standard for them. But quick turnaround for the Panthers going into the weekend. The Philadelphia Flyers, one of the worst teams in the NHL right now, record wise. This was probably the year that we were thinking that the Flyers were going to actually be in the bottom after possibly overachieving last year. I mean, trades for young guys like Jamie Drysdale on defense. I mean, we know about Owen Tippett, who actually scored tonight against Tampa, who they beat Tampa in a shootout, but also their prize prospect, Matvei Michkov, healthy scratch tonight. And this is not the first time that Torts has scratched someone that's probably on a young guy who's probably on the edge of probably breaking through. I mean, Morgan Frost was one last year for them. So a little bit of a tough situation for the Flyers coming into this one. But hey, they picked up a win so how are you seeing this one?
So Torts is going to be Torts, showing tough love, but it doesn't mean that he doesn't care. So I think he just wants to see the best for Michkov. So I think he'll bounce back. He'll probably be in the lineup Saturday because, listen, they have to have their best players on the ice against Florida. So with that being said, I do kind of see this as a trap game for Florida. Philadelphia is not the best. Their goaltending is okay right now. Their defense is not the greatest. And I just
owns the Panthers.
Yeah. And this to me, it's just like, you just come home from Finland and then you come in and you just completely dominate the Predators. So what more do you have to prove? Are you going to extend it to a 7-game win streak? Are you going to be 10-1-1 in your last 12? So I hope the boys show up, but you know what? For whatever reason, Philly's always played the Panthers really hard. So I expect a good matchup.
Yep, 2-1 against the Panthers last year. I remember the one win that the Panthers did have last year against Philly on the road in March. That was a game that the Panthers kind of put, put the extinguisher on the fire when they were in a little bit of a bad stretch. I mean, I remember that game. Kulikov was coming back from a suspension there, and there was a little bit of the shakeups with the injuries to the D and everything. But coming into this one, shots for, they're 30th in the NHL, goals against 30th. But still, just like the Predators coming into Thursday night's game, top PK in the NHL, the Philadelphia Flyers coming to this one, 3rd in PK percentage. So maybe this will be another game where hopefully the Panthers can break through a tough special teams unit there in Philadelphia. But Nick, I want to thank you so much for joining me on this edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. Once again, the Florida Panthers win 6-2 over the Nashville Predators as they will continue the homestand on Saturday. Tell everybody where they can follow you online, my friend.
Armando, thank you for having me on again, and a special shout out to Jacob Winans because The Predators are sick to their stomach right now after tonight. And you guys can follow me on X at Prudential0, and hoping to be back by next week as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much. See you next week.
See you next week.
And if you like what you're hearing, please subscribe to the podcast so you'll be notified every single time the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast jumps into your podcast feed. Don't forget to also subscribe to the other shows on the Locked On AHL network, including Locked On AHL, Locked On Fantasy Hockey with Flip Livingstone and Stu Roden, and Locked On NHL Prospects. Thank you once again for making the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast your first listen of the day. So I'm Armando Velez with Nich Fairbanks. And you've been listening to Locked On Florida Panthers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day.